Arabia. I have a few questions to Madam Mother here. So, you are the running mate with Raila Odinga and who Ruto won, and you knew very well since 2022 you've seen that nothing has ever been done in this country to show any progress in the country. You've seen that corruption has been going on in the country, but you awaited until the GENZs. You saw the bill for 2023-2024 was passed, which it somehow oppressed the common mwananchi. You never said anything. You waited until the youths went to the streets to proclaim their rights and reject the bill. That's when you started talking like you are supporting the youth. Why now at this moment would you step down at this moment, or are you trying to be an opportunist in our movement, or what? What is your stance in this, and are you going to appear on Nane Nane in the grounds? Because you are very good, you politicians are very good in giving us advices or telling us things in the spaces, but physically in the grounds, you are nowhere to be found. Are you going to appear on the grounds? Why did you drop the last moment from partnering with Raila Odinga to come and, to support the GENZs? And secondly, what's your take on how we are being killed innocently while we are practicing our democratic rights? You know, we are following our constitution, but the government isn't following the constitution. Uh, they are killing people, abducting, but no one is talking about it. They are sending fear shivers to us while we are proclaiming our rights. We have those big leaders or politicians who go for demonstration. They are not abducted, they are not attacked, and they are not even sent water cannons. We are peaceful. We don't have any weapons, but they are attacking us. No one is talking about it. What's your take on that? Thirdly, I don't see any work the women rep do. So as for that, no. Okay, my last question is, we have public properties, like we can say JKIA is a public property for everyone, for every Kenyan. It's an international airport. Why would, I don't know if it's possible for common mwananchi to be involved in some discussions or decision making, because you politicians, you go there, make decisions on your own, and the effects later come to us, we the common mwananchi wenye tunakuwa oppressed kwa ground. Okay, I have only that.
Thank you, Toria. Jmo.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, we can hear you.
So I just observed something about this movement. It's like some of us are very intolerant to different opinions or different personalities. And I think that's dangerous for the movement. My name is James, and I am for the movement. I'm in support of the Nane Nane March. And the reason why I'm in support is that we are all advocating for good governance. Me personally joined because I want government services to be efficient. Like nowadays, you see a place catches fire, like a whole neighborhood inashika moto. No firefighters, no nothing. People are coming out to save themselves against fires on their own. So, like you apply for a government document, maybe an ID, unangoja forever. So you see there's clearly a problem. Services as efficient as they are supposed to be. So when I come to these spaces and I hear people attacking one another, maybe gatekeeping the movement, it's for Gen Zs alone, like attacking old people that they're not supposed to be in government, I feel like we are also becoming a problem Actually, that's the problem we're fighting against. And I'm not fighting to chase away Ruto and replace him with some other intolerant guys, whether they are young or personally, Mimi wouldn't even want to run for any political office, but I don't mind whoever is in office, regardless of age, tribe, akuwe nani, bora tu anafanya what dictates of the constitution. I'm good with it. So those wars about, I didn't personally join the movement to fight old people, because I've seen younger people being corrupt. I'm in this movement to fight corruption and to advocate for good governance. So my question is, let me direct my question to Mother Karua. As a citizen, I'm deeply concerned about the current state of governance, as I've made it known. So you've been in political leadership for the longest time possible. So I'm reaching out to seek your valuable insights. How did we get here? How did we get this burden like governing our country? So please share your experience and maybe perspective about how Kenya reached this point, whereby we have a whole population that is disenfranchised. So yeah, that's it.
Thanks, JMO. I am aligned with what you've said there, that let us not become what we are fighting. It's very easy to turn into, if you fight a monster, make sure you don't become a monster. Let us hold to the values that we began with and the principles that we are sticking to: good governance, transparency, accountability for a better Kenya. Mkenya, are you there?
Yes, niko hapa.
Mike ni yako, karibu.
Okay, thank you so much. So, thank you so much, the host and listeners and senior counsel. So, for me, I got some few questions to ask a senior counsel. First question is, do you believe politicians are shortchanging Kenyans? And also, do you believe Kibaki regime brought back tribalism? If you see from 2002 and 2007 on the whole incident that happened. And the whole incident on 207 showed that politicians are bigger than Kenya. That's why the swearing in, that's why all the infighting. You guys didn't consider Kenyans, right? Because I bet you guys saw what was coming, right? But at that moment, I'm talking about both sides, not PNU and ODM. I'm talking about politicians, both sides. So you guys, you saw how many Kenyans died, lost property, but you could just take a minute and just say Kenya is bigger than every politician on both sides, right? So my other question: why do politicians always change their mind when they're in government and when they're out of government? When they're out of government, they talk so good, oh, I'll do this and do this, all that stuff. But when they get in government, right, they always come up with some stuff that's crazy. And this stuff that they always say, oh, this president is good, but people around him. No, the buck stops with the president. Hiki tunasema, oh, huyu ni mzuri, but watu around him, nah, that stuff is just hiyo ifai kwenda. And politicians with the empty promises, what should be the consequences? Like instant consequences. Hapo hakuna hii mambo kudanganya watu, we are tired. And have you ever benefited from tribalism? I know corruption, you say no, but tribalism, like from your political life. And have you ever been part of a pact, like, political, tribal political pact? We as Kenyans, we have been shortchanged by all the governments since independence. We have been shortchanged. We deserve more when we deserve better. We cannot live like that. There's no way politicians can have their sons, their daughters themselves, good health care and all that stuff, but the rest of the Kenyans cannot even afford a meal. 99, we are changing Kenya, clean slate, new government, right? All the old guys, we value you, but it's time kuketi kwa bench, you see how we're going to run the country. We need our country back. Na kama, do you also believe that kama umeiba, regardless of which era, which regime, do you think that you should return back the money? Because those are the same wealth, ill-gotten wealth that cannot be get, Kenyans cannot get. Haiwezi kakuwa at the government of Kenya is a milking cash for politicians. I mean, I'm so pissed off. I'm so passionate about this country because najua we can do a lot of stuff. But ni wizi regime, wizi politician waizi na ukabila, we need to stop. We need to stop. Na hii 99 is about getting our country back, and we need good governance from us. You remember, no, you guys had your turn. Just sit back on the bench. Come on, advice. I think it's a time for new blood. Thank you.
Let's take the real one, then I'll yield the microphone back to Karua, Senior Counsel. Real Joe. Real Joe, can you hear me? Real Joe unavailable. June 25th. Jerry?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Awesome. So thanks, everyone. I think for me, first and foremost is to just condole with all of the families that have lost loved ones during this movement, people who've been injured, and to really applaud the courage of people who have taken action directly or indirectly to support this like really, really important moment we are in as a country. Even as I'm listening in, I think there are three things that I have been advocating for in every space that I have been that I just want to share with this group here. First of all, we need to understand that as young people, we are fighting for a cause that is attempting to reverse problems that are systemic and have been endemic in this country for years. So we are not just fighting to win, to have this government go, but it's also about starting to build this country again on the right foundations. When I think about Mau Mau and what it took for them to get there, imagine at the time of celebration, a lot of those young people who had fought did not actually take up positions of leadership. And it's true that they had the ability and the courage to fight, but it was also very true that they did not have the knowledge and the ability to be able to lead. So for me, it's a challenge to all of us. We are thinking about this not just in relation to what we want to achieve, but what it will take for us to start rebuilding this country afresh. And the challenge is to understand, read. I want to challenge everyone. If you've never read the Constitution is less than 200 pages. It's not just for lawyers. The Constitution is for everyone. In fact, the Constitution says that we're supposed to defend the Constitution. You can't defend, respect, and uphold something you don't know. So pick up the Constitution. It's available online. It's free. Read, even if you don't read the whole document, read chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 6 of the Constitution. It's a very powerful document. And as us as young people understanding what it means for us is going to be the first step in us guys being able to build this country in the way that we hope and desire it will go. Number 2, tujiangalie. I think when I was thinking about the vetting process as it was happening over the weekend, and somebody pointed it out, how can a billionaire look for a job? Like, what is a billionaire doing looking for a job? But can you imagine that the same amount of greed that it takes for someone with a lot of money to still want to accumulate more, which is part of the problem we're seeing in this country. It's the same amount of greed that it takes for you to pay to skip a line so that you get an advantage over somebody else. Somebody else could not have afforded to wait in line. You have paid, umepeana hongo so that you skip the line. Umesimamishwa na polisi, kuna shida na there's just something that is wrong. Perhaps you not even need insurance. You pay money so that the system does not apply to you. Imagine it's the same amount of greed. So let us also look at ourselves in the way that corruption is endemic in every aspect of our lives and start change there. So for you, the next time someone is asking for a bribe, call them out. Not because we are all saints, or some of us are saints and others aren't, but this problem permeates not just in political spaces, it permeates in every aspect of our lives. So tujiangalie. I really like that line in that song that says, yani ile mkono inapeana hongo imevaa colors za flag. So let us respect and demand in this movement, let us respect and demand something that we're also upholding in our everyday lives. Number 3 for me, it is to really applaud artists and people who have been talking and educating. Education is so powerful. Like our wisdom that has applied over the years to date is that information is power. And so I want to thank artists who have used different platforms to educate young people. But because it's a movement, we're in a moment now, I want to encourage guys to be involved in. It's not just so that you can get paid, but please take civic education to all levels that you have access and influence to, without hoping or expecting payments. I think I really loved what the team at Two Alif Birds has been doing, retelling Kenya's history. But not everyone can afford a ticket to go and listen in. So I want to thank some of the ways in which, for example, the director of that show is encouraging free movie nights. Let's see a lot of innovation so that we can teach everyone in this country about civic education and spread the news, because this movement is not for now, it's for years, and we need to have the knowledge and the information to be able to build this country the right way. Thank you, everyone.
Perfect. Chege. Chege Wamburu, can you hear me? Rabi, mbona kama Chege nakusikia?
Simpati mimi. Can't hear.
Haya. Jeff, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the space. I think it's 1 minute to midday. I want to categorically maybe refocus us into the main thing. I think Nane should be the main thing, and I think we have only 2 days now to go. So I think let's not be sidetracked to other things. And the fact that our group, this movement is tribeless, we shouldn't even be talking about tribe at this moment. We may have personal grievances, but I think bringing them into the space at this moment, it won't help a lot. I have a question to senior counsel, and I think I have followed her for a very long time. I think I know her standing in terms of personality and judgment. Do you think that the political class as currently constituted has the solutions for Kenya? That's number one. Number two, why are you running? Why would you run again? Because you did that, I think, in 2013. So what exactly is the motivation that moves the political class to, kind of try and want these political positions and power. I think I don't have much today, but I want us to really refocus on, let's not rant. Yeah, kila mtu amekasirika because Kenya is not working, and the fact that the government as currently is constituted is rubbing itself on our face like defiantly. Tumesema tu tunataka vitu kidogo atu, like we are not complicated. I mean, we are simply saying we want constitutionalism, we want things to work, and they are not working. So thank you, Afrocentric.
Thank you, Jeff, for your questions. I think I'll give the microphone to Martha Karua right now to answer those questions.
Thank you. I'll begin with the was it Toria or Rabbi Toria? You started by saying Ruto won. I don't believe that, but since the court ruled in his favor, we are leaving his regime. But I would want to tell you that I have not just been sitting waiting for GENZ. If you watched last year, 2023, AZIMIO was on the road protesting the rising cost of living, among other things, and also asking for the servers to be opened. But the main issue, which even made the population support us, was the cost of living. When we were invited to the talks, I reluctantly was part of that, not as a negotiator because it's Kalonzo who went, but we were part of it and we gave them a package that cost of living was going to be the deal breaker. After almost 1 year, more than 8 months of negotiations in December, they came minus the cost of living. And we in NARC Kenya disassociated ourselves with NADCO and rejected the report publicly. I remember the leader of DAPK, Wamalwa, also refused to sign the report. So since then, we've sort of been alienated from AZIMIO up to the time now we have withdrawn. Although the time of notice is not over, we are no longer part of AZIMIO. But I wanted you to know that, yes, we have not been quiet. And whether in a coalition or just as myself or with the NARC Kenya party, we have never been quiet in the face of injustices. You asked about water cannons. We too were visited with colored water cannons. They attempted to shoot, and if you recall or may not know, Raila's car, which was leading the entourage, was shot no less than 11 times. We also suffered just like you did, and a lot of people, over 50 people, were killed in last year's demonstrations. So it is not that we have been sitting waiting for the GENZ. Over the years, not just last year, we've done what we can. And you can go back and find that I've never been a citizen without a voice. In and out of office, I've used my agency where I can. JMO, before I go to JMO, the airport leasing to Adani or concessionaire, Kenyans have a voice. Public participation is in the constitution. And the genesis of these GENZ protests is the government Ruto making public participation a circus or just something cosmetic. The public, through the GENZ, want to be heard. They want their concerns acted upon. So JKIA is no different. They will have to listen to Kenyans. We cannot wait idle to see a public asset wasted. So far, nobody is telling us for what benefit we are leasing this most priceless public asset. Leasing out an airport, both the things to do with aeronauticals and the non-aeronauticals is like leasing your front door to your neighbor, meaning that people can enter and leave without you knowing. So we are entitled to public participation, and this part of the accountability Kenyans are asking for. Jmo, thank you for the no gatekeeping comment. The state of governance, that is why the call for transparency and accountability. It is lack of enforcement. Kibaki's first government, even before the constitution was passed, was fairly transparent until Anglo leasing, carried over from the Moi era, reared its ugly head and part of the government fell to corruption. The second government, the coalition government, both sides accepted to live with corruption. And that is why, among other reasons, the record of human rights deteriorated. And that's why I personally chose to resign, leave the benefits, and become a backbencher. So enforcement is what gets people to remain on the narrow path, because where there is enforcement, it is very costly to the individual to veer out of line. But here we don't punish corruption, we celebrate it. Even as voters, we are electing the most corrupt and leaving people who have a better record. So this is a conversation we need to have. And the accountability this movement is asking, it's also about enforcing the rule of law. Living by the rule of law means enforcement, not making vetting a circus, and truly appointing only individuals who qualify under Section 6 of the Constitution. Mkenya, you are asking whether politicians have shortchanged Kenyans. And this is all politicians. Yes, indeed, we have collectively shortchanged Kenyans. Look at even this very last act of some in AZIMIO joining government. A government that has violated people's human rights, forget even the economic war they have waged against us. A government that has in the immediate wantonly killed its own citizens, maimed and injured, without laying groundwork, even asking for apologies, compensation, cessation of that violence upon Kenyans, etc., etc. Even the NADCO report was a short change. Why would we accept a report that has no cost of living element? That is why Ruto was confident to again overtax Kenyans in the 2024 finance bill. If we had collectively refused NADCO, I doubt that they would have had that courage to go ahead and treat Kenyans dirty. And if they had, then we would have had a groundswell on the side of resisting oppression. But when some of us go to bed with the oppressor, then we are making the oppressor more stronger than the side of resistance. So it makes the push for accountability a little more harder, but not impossible. Mkenya, I'm still answering Mkenya. Did we see what was coming before 2007? Yes. If you remember, those who were of age and can remember, there was a long campaign after the referendum, the failed 2005 referendum. An almost 1.5 years campaign, whipping emotions. And the call was 41 tribes against one. It was simply coded 41 against one. That time, we had 42 communities. Now 2 have been added. We have 44. And that is not to say that those of us who were on the government side, because this was an ODM call, that we were saints. Also, the intolerance of sacking everybody because they refused the referendum. That was also intolerance on part of the president's side. So we built up the tension, and many other things I cannot unpackage that happened in government leading to the division in the referendum, like refusing to take our views on board in the WACO draft. So I cannot say that any one side bears all the responsibility. Both PNU and ODM bear the responsibility of what happened. We need to galvanize. You asked whether I have ever benefited from tribalism. Absolutely not. I believe the positions I was given is my input as a politician. But if you're asking whether we have ever galvanized the community, yes. In the tribal clashes during the Moi era, where there was killings in the Rift Valley of people, especially from Mount Kenya and people seen as outsiders, we joined together in parliament to give strength to those in the Rift Valley to encourage them to fight back. And the clashes finished. Those are the ones in 1998 that brought death especially in Nakuru area and also in Olmoran, in Laikipia and Supiri. If you're asking whether we have galvanized the community, yes, but for positive causes that affect everyone else. Even our recent meeting at Limuru was to get our community, the Mount Kenya people, out of mental slavery. They were like under lock and key, almost physically and mentally. I am glad that this time round they joined other Kenyans and that work was done. But whether I have ever advocated for only my people as opposed to others, I will say no. The two times I served as minister for water and minister for justice, and in all my utterances, you can check that and see that I am a Kenyan to the core. The other question, June 25, we too condole the bereaved and really feel for those who are injured, for those who are missing, and for those visited upon with atrocities. We need to go back to the reset button and start afresh as Kenyans. And that's why I support the Gen Z movement. Can billionaires serve? I think it's not about the wealth you have. It's whether your wealth is honestly accumulated. A majority of wealthy people in Kenya, especially with a political background, are people who have accumulated their wealth in questionable circumstances and of questionable characters. And that gives rise to people thinking wealthy people cannot serve. I have seen very few wealthy people, wealthy in the sense of real wealthy, who are politicians and who are honest. I agree with you that our artists are doing a great job. I love especially the Utawala by Juliani. It speaks to me. And Eric Wainaina's Nchi ya Kitu Kidogo. I too watched Tef Boya, which is juxtaposing our past history, the assassination of Boya, and the present day, while our young have been murdered for political reasons, and also calling for accountability. Jeff, I agree entirely. entirely. Our focus must remain on Nane, on the task at hand of bringing accountability, bringing transparency to our country. Does the political class have a solution? Not alone. If we had a solution, everything would have been okay last year after the AZIMIO demonstrations. We would have been able to negotiate something meaningful for Kenya at NADCO. This shows that this time where matters stand, we must not look upon the political class entirely, I belonging to it. We must look at Kenyans of goodwill joined together to bring the solutions together. Nobody has a monopoly of wisdom. And I think I have said this time and again on my Twitter handle. Even when Raila said that they had spoken and there was going to be dialogue, I cautioned on my Twitter timeline that you should be wary of us, the political class, because we are easy to be co-opted. We are easy to be compromised. And it has come to be true. Let us look at Kenyans together doing what they must do for themselves and relying on our collective wisdom, not on that of a select few who might even have the lack of it. You asked why I ran. The same thing that made me run as a youth in 1992, some of the listeners may not have been born, was that I believed I had something to offer. I could see there was a gap in leadership, something needed to be done, and I stepped forward. I have been in leadership since then, both elected and voluntary like now, and I still feel that I have something to offer to my country, and that's why I would run again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The movement has always said it is tribeless, leaderless, partyless. What were your thoughts when you first heard that we were leaderless and we were able to mobilize and get the gains that we have gotten so far in terms of the bill being rejected, and the pressure and the momentum is still building, but we are still a leaderless movement? What are your thoughts on that specific topic? We are leaderless.
I was actually very excited and I'm still very excited. The way the movement has been able to mobilize so extensively, more than anybody else has ever done in this country, and had an impact worldwide, not just in Africa. This movement is being acknowledged everywhere. And after various spaces and hearing experiences from Zimbabwe and other countries, I realized that the one strong thing the movement has going for itself is because it's leaderless, tribeless, and did you say faceless? Because what is happening, if you had an acknowledged leader, that leader would either have been compromised, and if they can't be compromised, abducted, or whatever else would have happened to them, the system would be focusing on them. You are focusing on issues. You've never had a delegation going to present your issues, but we have heard you loud and clear. We know what the movement stands for. Using the social media, Ruto was able to hear you and withdraw the finance bill. Initially, they were tone deaf, but they withdrew the finance bill. Although that is a lie because he's still implementing some of the things in it. He was able to sack almost all his cabinet. You did not have any memorandum presented to him. This is the strength of the movement. Focus on issues, not on personalities. Being unable to know who is the leader and therefore nobody to compromise. Keep at that until this job is over and then pick the leaders. And I keep on telling the police and the army whenever I can that the Constitution is clear via Article 1. People can exercise their sovereignty directly, and this is precisely what you're doing. We were saying it last year during AZIMIO protests, but we have never experienced people of Kenya acting under Article 1, exercising sovereignty directly. We have seen it under GENZ. This is truly phenomenal. It is your strength. Let's keep it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to read one of the comments I'm seeing here. I wonder how people always celebrate Kibaki's presidency so much. He's always the best president, yet castigate Martha for protecting his vote. Can't you see this narrative is a psyop by Martha's competitors in 2013 to exonerate themselves from 207 for votes? Alas, the public bought the propaganda. Something to think about. Rabia, Mike Nyako.
Shukran sana na shukran Mama Martha kwa vile umejitolea hata huku kuongea nasi na kujumuika nasi katika huu mradi wa 88. Ningependa kumpa mic kwa Chege, naona umeinua mkono, alafu kisha kama wapenda kuongea unaweza inua mkono uchaguliwe. Chege.
Thank you so much, Rabia. Thank you, Afrocentric, Psycho